What's up, everyone? I'm going to make a video talking about the top 10 NFL quarterbacks heading into the 2025 offseason. And starting off this list at number 10, I have the Green Bay Packers quarterback Jordan Love. And Jordan Love's a pretty remarkable quarterback. He was able to take his team to an 11-6 record and make the playoffs for the second consecutive season, having 25 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, a little under 3,400 passing yards, and he actually missed a few games as well. And, he did all this without a true number one wide receiver, so pretty impressive stuff from Jordan Love, who is my top 10, my 10th best quarterback in the NFL for the offseason so far. All right, number 9, I have Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels. And this guy is absolutely unbelievable as a quarterback. He had 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 3,500 yards, and I believe he missed a game or two as well. And he was able to take his team that has not won a playoff game since the year 2000 all the way to the NFC Championship. So good for Jayden Daniels. He was able to just really take this next step for the Commanders. Like, unbelievable quarterback, and he's gonna be on this list for a long time, in my opinion. He might be a top 5 quarterback by the end of next season, but we'll have to see how he plays. But for now, he is number 9 on my list. All right, the 8th best quarterback on this list is Buccaneers quarterback Baker Mayfield. And he's been quite an up and down quarterback throughout his entire career. He's just lacked consistency, but this season, that all changed. He had 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, and the interceptions are kind of high, but the yards and touchdowns more than make up for it. And this is also considering the fact that Mike Evans missed time, Chris Godwin missed a lot of time, so he didn't really have a true number one wide receiver while doing all this. So that just makes what he accomplished that much more impressive. He was able to take the Bucs to the playoffs for the second consecutive season for Baker Mayfield. So good for Baker, and I hope he continues to climb this list potentially next season. But for now, he's number 8 on this list. All right, number 7 on this list is Philadelphia Eagles quarterback and Super Bowl MVP Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts, stats weren't the greatest, only 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a little under 3,000 yards, missed some time, got to account for that. And also, not to mention, a lot of his stats come from the tush push and his rushing, so just had to bring all that up. And I'm not going to lie, Jalen Hurts gets a lot more criticism than he deserves. Like, does he have a great team around him? Sure. He's got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, a top 5 offensive line, a decent tight end, Dallas Goedert. Like, he has a lot to work with, but he won a Super Bowl. He won the damn Super Bowl, and he won Super Bowl MVP. You know, this guy definitely brings quite an element to the Eagles, and they would not have won the Super Bowl without him. So, credit to Jalen Hurts for shutting up the doubters. And, he is number 7 on the top 10 quarterback list. All right, number 6, we have Lions quarterback Jared Goff. And Jared Goff had one of the best seasons of his career since, he was on the Rams in 2018. 4,600 yards, 37 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and he was just such an efficient quarterback. And like Jalen Hurts, I feel like Jared Goff gets a lot of criticism because of all the supporting cast around him. But, if you can make it work, you can make it work. I don't think you should get overly criticized for having pieces to work with. And, if he's taking advantage of them, which he clearly is, who are we to blame him? And, the Lions, they had the best season in franchise history, in my opinion. They went 15-2, underwhelming in the playoffs, but, if we just take that game out, Jared Goff had an unbelievable season. And, I'm sure at some point the Lions will win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. It's only a matter of time. Could be next season, could be the season after that. I really don't know, but Jared Goff's number 6 on this list, and we'll see if he can progress the list or maintain a spot or whatever the fuck he needs to do to stay on the Lions, because the Lions are just a team that needs him and he needs the Lions. It's like a codependent thing. All right, beginning the top 5 at number 5, we have Los Angeles Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert. And this one might be controversial because of how bad his playoff game was. He had 4 interceptions in that game alone, but if we don't include that, he only had 3 interceptions the whole year, 3,800 yards, 23 touchdowns. And this is with, like, not a lot of supporting cast. I mean, he has some pieces. He has Ladd McConkey. He's a stud. J.K. Dobbins is pretty good. But other than that, like, this team has nothing on offense. I mean, their O-line's pretty decent. But, you know, he did all this damage with, you know, not a lot of help. And this was the first time in his career where he truly didn't have much. I mean, the years prior, he had Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Austin Eckler, but neither of those guys were on the team. So Justin Herbert was able to have a very efficient season despite, you know, taking all the talent away from him. So good for him, and he's number 5 on this quarterback list. All right, number 4 on the quarterback list, we have Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow, he is most definitely the best quarterback in the NFL to not make the playoffs. 43 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, almost 5,000 passing yards. I mean, I kind of feel bad for him. These are MVP caliber stats, and he didn't get consideration because of how mediocre his team was relative to their expectation. They went 9-8 and barely missed the playoffs. So poor Joe Burrow. But he's definitely a very good quarterback, and I definitely expect him to be on this list next season. And we will have to see how he plays, because I feel like next season he's not going to have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I feel like one of them's going to go, probably T. Higgins if I had to guess. And we'll see if he can continue the high level of play despite having someone be poached from him, because I mean, not to say Joe Burrow's bad, but he definitely has it good on offense because, I mean, you have the best receiving core, a solid running back in Chase Brown, some good offensive linemen. I mean, he's got a lot to work with, and we'll see if he can maintain this level of play when the team inevitably loses some players on that side of the ball next season. But for now, Joe Burrow is number 4 on my quarterback list. All right, and number 3 on this list, I have Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. And this is interesting because this is the first time that I've done a ranking like this where Mahomes isn't number 1, but, like, let's be real, he doesn't deserve it. 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 3,900 yards. I mean, is that a bad season? No, it's a decent season, but if you're the best quarterback in the NFL, I mean, you got to be better than this. And last season, he had an underwhelming season too, but people kind of dismissed it because the Chiefs won the Super Bowl anyway. But this season, Mahomes definitely had some ugly moments. He had that horrible Super Bowl performance where he had, I think, like 3 interceptions, and he just couldn't find open guys when it mattered. And he's still an unbelievable player, first ballot Hall of Famer already, in my opinion. But at the same time, I mean, he has been extremely underwhelming for his standards. And that's gonna knock him down to 3 on this list, and we'll see if he can bounce back next season and reclaim that number 1 spot. All right, number 2, we have Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson, he was fucking insane this year. 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 4,100 passing yards. And this was by far the best season of his career when it comes to a passing standpoint. And, you know, he just was unbelievable. Him and Derrick Henry were just an unstoppable force. And it's just, when you have a guy who's as fast as Lamar and as powerful as Derrick Henry, and a decent wide receiver number 1 with Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely with the tight end room, and a decent offensive line, I mean, this is just how this team is. They're a high-flying offense, and they needed him to be. The Ravens' defense surprisingly struggled at the start of the season, but they were able to pick it up, and Lamar Jackson was able to have an unbelievable year the whole season, and that was able to propel the Ravens into the playoffs and narrowly losing to the Buffalo Bills in the divisional round. And like I said with the Lions, I think it's only a matter of time until the Ravens win a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson. And I mean, he's really good, and he could definitely take the number 1 spot next season if he plays well enough. And yeah, he's number 2 on the list. And number 1, we got the defending MVP Bills quarterback Josh Allen. And Josh Allen, he had 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 3,700 yards, and I acknowledge that is worse than Lamar Jackson, but at the same time, he did not have anybody to work with. He had James Cook, who is definitely worse than Derrick Henry. He had a wide receiver core that consisted of Amari Cooper, who didn't do much, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman. They didn't do much either. Dalton Kincaid didn't really do anything either. But it doesn't matter if they've got Bills quarterback Josh Allen. He's able to just take this team, put it on his back, and just keep chugging along. That's what he does. And that's what he's been doing for the past few seasons. And people just don't talk about him because of Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, all those guys. But in my opinion, he is the best quarterback in the NFL. And it's definitely close between him and Lamar Jackson. I wouldn't disagree too much if Lamar was at 2, but for me personally, at this point in time, Josh is at 1. And yeah, that's my list. I hope you don't disagree with it too much. And if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. And I will have some other off-season content regarding NFL soon, and I will see you guys later.